If you go back 225 or 30 years ago, you have what we call the Illuminati that was established in 1776. And the goals of the Illuminati, this is all very well documented, are to take over the world. One of the best ways of taking over the world is to control people's minds and to take over a country through the control of the minds. So what's happening in America, and based on my research and my interviews with numerous individuals, is that the powers that be, the higher-ups, the people in the Illuminati, are using the satanic cults as a means and as a tool to condition individuals and to make them victims of the mind control, MK Ultra mind control program. There's probably close to 4 million practicing Satanists in the United States alone, based on my intelligence information.
We're talking about occultic forces. We're talking about the five-pointed pentagram, which was used by satanic worshippers for thousands of years. If you take the 5 points off of a five-pointed star, or a pentagram, you have left in the middle a pentagon. The pentagon is directed toward the North Star because, according to the ancient Babylonians, that's where you gathered power from the gods of the North in war.
And if there's one thing I know, you can't control evil. You can lock it up, you can burn it and bury it and pray that it dies, but it never will. It just rests a while. You can lock your doors and say your prayers at night, but the evil's out there, waiting. And maybe, just maybe, it's closer than you think.
Iraq was the home of the very advanced culture, going back to 4000 BC down to around 2000 BC, of Sumer. Babylon was an ancient headquarters of this Illuminati. Like I said, and that's why, as we'll get to as we go through, these Illuminati today use a tremendous amount of Babylonian symbolism in their own codes and language. This is the area I'm talking about. Egypt came into it as well, but this area was crucial. These families exported themselves out into Europe, where they became the aristocracy of Europe and the royal families of Europe. When you go back to Babylon, you find that they worshipped the trinity of Nimrod, the father, who they symbolize as a fish, Ninus Tammuz, the son, Queen Semiramis. The Romans used to worship Queen Semiramis under the term Venus Columba, Venus the dove, because the Babylonians used to symbolize Semiramis as a dove. In French, the word for dove is Columba. So Columbus was a play on Columba, the goddess, Queen Semiramis, as portrayed on an ancient coin. I've seen her somewhere before.
And one of the great frontmen for the Illuminati in the 20th century, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, put it on the dollar bill, this same symbol.
Skull and Bones is a springboard for a young man to be brought in, trained, conditioned, imbued with these doctrines.
William Howard Taft, George Bush, George W. Bush, numerous senators and ambassadors, industrialists like William Whitney, CIA agents, State Department officials, and publishing magnate Henry Luce. Hundreds of secret societies operating in the United States. There are a few whose names appear frequently. They are the Freemasons, Skull and Bones, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, and the most secretive of all, Bilderberg, its most powerful members, with elite private citizens from North America, Western Europe, and Japan, to form a new 180-member group. It is called the Trilateral Commission.
Much of the $50 billion, which is more than the annual budget of the Department of Homeland Security, has been handed out to companies in Iraq with little or no oversight. Billions of dollars are unaccounted for, and there are widespread allegations of waste, fraud, and war profiteering.
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order.
And when it was in Rome, that's when we had the creation of the Roman Empire and the creation of the Roman Church that became Christianity as we know it. I just want to pick 3 secret societies up that were formed around the time of the Crusades. In the 1100s they were formed and through into the 1200s. One of them was called the Teutonic Knights. Another one, the Knights Hospitaller of St. John of Jerusalem.
This crusade, one of the most massive, sweeping in history, was actually orchestrated by a secret brotherhood, the Priory of Sion and the Knights Templar.
19th century, artifacts and things were found, signs were found that the Templars had been under Temple Mount. Whatever, something changed very quickly after around 9 years, because a couple of these guys came back to France and started signing up the aristocratic families of Europe. They clearly knew something big time.
The papacy declared these Priory Knights, these Knights Templar, of limitless power. By the 1300s, the Templars had grown too powerful. All across Europe, the Pope had declared the Knights Templar Satan worshippers. Said God had charged him with cleansing the earth of these heretics. The plan went off like clockwork. The Templars were all but exterminated. The date was October 13th, 1307, Friday.
Friday the 13th.
And they went runabout. They almost certainly went to the Americas, because the knowledge of the Americas existed and goes back a long way in the secret knowledge line.
And very quickly they establish a membership roll of prestigious colonists.
Of the 56 signatories of the American Declaration of Independence, 50 were known Freemasons, only one was known not to be. George Washington's first inauguration in 1789 was a Freemasonic ritual. Look at the pictures.
A Freemason in Bavaria by the name of Adam Weishaupt forms a secret society known as the Order of the Illuminati.
Charles Taze Russell, who created the Jehovah's Witness movement, along with others, Merovingian bloodline, buried under a pyramid in America. Joseph Smith, who started the Mormon Church, which is an Illuminati front, big time in Salt Lake City, Merovingian bloodline. The guy who took it on, Brigham Young, Merovingian bloodline.
The Book of Mormon says, and there's a quote here, that there was a blackness that came upon all the children of Canaan, that they were despised among all people. What does that mean?
We believe that the blacks are the descendants of Cain, that the darkness was a curse that God placed upon them for the murder of Abel.
But Ariel, to say that black people are cursed, that sounds racist.
Perhaps it does. What can I say? I can't say things according to how one might interpret my response. I can't change the doctrines that Joseph Smith taught because those are unpopular today.
Armed guards protect a secret meeting of the world's power elite. At Yale University, the scions of America's first families confess their sexual exploits from a gruesome coffin. In a smoke-filled room, a handful of power brokers manipulate the global economy.
On May 14th, 1948, the State of Israel is reborn.
Personally, I do not believe that the Bible addresses such issues as the formation of the modern State of Israel.
Interpret for me, please, this symbol, first thing that comes to mind, anybody.
Hatred, racism.
Yes, interesting. But they would disagree with you in Spain. There they are robes worn by priests.
We still will not mix up with a bunch of black savages. I'm not one of these freeload niggers.
They were brought here as slaves. God, nigga, the Klan is getting bigger.
White power! White power! White power!
Symbolizes fascism, comes out the Roman Empire, because these rods symbolize individuality tied together, ruled by the axe head here.
You still don't get it, do you, boys? There ain't no countries anymore. No more good guys. They're running the whole show. They own everything, the whole goddamn planet. They can do whatever they want. What's wrong with having it good for a change?